Welcome back, listeners. We're going now to focus on Heritage Week events coming up in Tipperary town. Tomorrow we hope to have Tipperary's Heritage Officer Roisin O'Grady with us to give an outline of events across the county. But there's quite 2 full days of activities planned for the 13th and 20th of August, and we just wanted to cover those with one of the participants that's involved in organising them, Magella McAllister from the Children's Museum of Ireland. Good morning, Magella, and thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Catherine. It's so nice to be back with you at Tip Midwest Radio. Thank you very much for having me on again.
Very welcome.
It's Magella McAllister from the Museum of Childhood Ireland.
Okay, very good. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
So you've got 2 great events coming up, 2 full Saturdays of activities.
We have. We're so looking forward to it, and I think the weather is going to be absolutely beautiful for it. So a good excuse for everybody to get out and about, and we particularly want to see lots of young people. This is your chance to get your voice heard, so come down and have your say about Tipperary town and reuse and regeneration sustainability.
Very good. So the workshops will start on Saturday the 13th. You've got some guest speakers on that day for the morning.
We absolutely do. I should say that this project, our collaborative partners in this project are Tipperary Town Revitalisation Task Force and Councillor Anne-Marie Ryan Shiner and Mary Alice O'Connor from the Tipperary Town Revitalisation Task Force Heritage Group, and that's why we're in Tipperary and we're delighted to be there. So on Saturday the 13th of August we have our first event is the Tipperary Building Our Future. And we have Alison Harvey, who was instrumental in the Heritage Council's Collaborative Town Centre Health Check. She'll be our first speaker. Jamie McNamara, who will talk on historic town regeneration. Owen O'Connor, who will talk about city and regional planning. And Peter Pearson on heritage activism. That will then be followed by a youth workshop facilitated by our own Cliona Martin here at the Museum of Childhood Ireland. And that is it's a workshop designed to really listen to young people and to hear what they have to say. So I would encourage everybody in Tipperary to come along and have a listen to what young people actually need and want from their town centres.
For those morning talks, can members of the public attend?
Of course they can. It's on a first come first served basis. We haven't ticketed it. It's really, come along. Get there early. We start at 10 o'clock. It'll run from 10 o'clock until 1:30. That's including that workshop. And come early and get your seat, and we'll see you there.
It's really a dynamic time, though, on that issue of building use, because we see, first of all, the government put a lot of different funding schemes available into buildings, and then we also see here in Tipperary town we have a number of developers that have taken buildings that have been vacant for a long time. People are delighted to see scaffold on this building, particularly, say, the Irish House on the main street, a building that's formerly was the location of a glove factory as well. There's a lot of redevelopment and repurposing of buildings, and we've seen the council, the task force, have a plan to put an education and training centre at the former Dan Breen House, which was a complex used as a council office. So it's an exciting time and a great chance to get to speak to these experts, because across the country building reuse is going to be a dominant issue, I think, in the coming short term.
You are so right, Catherine. And, you only have to look at Tipperary and see how beautiful it is and how beautiful the buildings are. And, it's more sustainable to reuse buildings than to knock them down and start again or build from scratch. I mean, it's about preserving that heritage and reusing what we have in a sustainable way.
And again, it's not just the buildings and the emissions. TD made that point during the week about housing, that vacant buildings that exist, if they can be used for housing purposes as well, that's a cheaper, faster way to perhaps to deliver that accommodation.
Of course, and it makes a really dynamic town centre when you have lots of people living in the town or living over shops and things as well. So it works for everybody. But again, it's really important to hear what our young people have to say in this. They have very particular ideas and things that they want, and in a blink of an eye, they will be the adults living in the town. So please come along on Saturday the 13th and have a listen and have a say and be part of that really exciting discussion about town centre reuse.
Do you still need some student contributions, or young people's contributions, not students, really young people?
Yeah, young people. We want them to come along. That's the idea. Come along and be heard. Have people listen to what you have to say and get your point across, and that's what that's what Saturday is all about, is actually listening to you and having your say in it. The Collaborative Town Centre Health Check is wonderful, and they really want to have young people involved in everything that goes on around town centre reuse. It's not a box ticking exercise. It is a really active wish to have young people involved.
Yes, and I think going forward for ourselves as society to encourage young people to participate, there's always been that intergenerational thing where young people might feel, where's the time where I get to make my contribution and have my voice listened to as well. So, but it's very important for societies that people are feeling there's a lack of volunteerism and there's a lack of people getting engaged in public events, that they're kind of focusing on their own private lives, but our society needs people to make those contributions. One of your presenters in the afternoon, it's Emily Drew, doing a model making workshop.
Yes, so again, this is it. Our communities don't work unless they work for everybody. So the idea behind the Building Reuse Ideas workshop, Emily Drew from Museum of Childhood Ireland is actually facilitating a model making workshop. Again, everybody. It doesn't have to be young children, or it doesn't have to be teenagers. Everybody can come along as a family and get involved in reusing materials to make models of buildings. And sort of, have discussions about, what you might reuse it for, how you might reuse it. Doesn't matter what it is. The idea is to be as creative as possible. And then following that, at the same time as that, we also have a sculpture for Tipperary Town. So sculpture and artist Lorraine Cleary is going to make a sculpture, a hand sculpture, and that's linking to the Revitalisation Task Force, Tipperary Excel Heritage Centre, Tipperary Glove Factories Remembered, and that's the film that's going to be shown on August the 18th. So this sort of links a little bit to that and the glove factory in the town. And again, all families, young children, teenagers, adults, come along and get involved in making that sculpture with artist Lorraine Cleary.
So the two workshops run 2 to 5 p.m. on the Saturday afternoon, the 13th of August. People are welcome to come. Do they need to bring any materials?
They can bring materials, especially for the sculpture in Tipperary Town Workshop. So Lorraine has suggested that they might bring a piece of metal or a piece of wood, something that you have that's lying there discarded, and you're sort of thinking it's too good to throw away, but I don't really know what to use with it. Come along and Lorraine will help you to incorporate it into the sculpture. Failing that, take along a piece out of your recycling bin, a bottle or a milk carton or a piece of plastic in some way, and get it used in this overall sculpture. I think it's going to be really exciting. I think both of those events are going to be really exciting ones for people to get involved in and to see how they actually what they are like at the end of it too. So and the pieces will then go on display in Tipperary Town. We're using a vacant shop unit, and the children's work will go on display there, and the sculpture will go on, we think, on display there. If not, it'll be in the Excel Heritage Centre where all of the events are taking place.
Very good. So these workshops we've just been speaking to about, listeners, the morning it's a series of talks from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. and in the afternoon from 2 to 5, workshops running in parallel. You mentioned there's a film being made about the glove industry in Tipperary Town. This will be screened on the 18th of August in the Excel Centre. I'm not sure how the audience attendance for that is being managed at the moment. I don't know if it's going to be on a ticket basis or how that will be. Or first
but they're welcome actually on the Tipperary Town Revitalisation Task Force and the Excel websites. They will have details for how to attend that event as well.
And again, of course, the films that the Mary Alice O'Connor and her partners have made, later on they've always made those available for multiple screenings in the Excel and also on the YouTube channel. So I think that's something to look forward to. I know they did filming. It's a historical look at the glove industry in Tipperary Town, but they also then had a local number of actors under the directorship of Jim Keane recreate the scene of a glove factory setting and a day in the life of workers in that industry in Tipperary Town. So again, it will be a great, I think, recording of that industry in town. Then on Saturday, August 20th, you have a further series of events? Yeah,
and before that as well, on August the 18th at 5 p.m, we have a Wild Child event for Heritage Week, and we're joined by our wonderful friend Orla Farrell at Easy Treesy Cran, and we are planting apple trees. This is out of the Museum of Childhood Ireland Apple Seeds to Apple Trees project that we've been running over the last while, and that will be at Pierce Park with local children in Pierce Park at around 5 p.m. But again, more details, we will update that on our social media and on museumofchildhood.ie before the event.
Very good, and the trees will be obviously, hopefully, a permanent, thriving legacy to that event.
Yeah, and hopefully just the start of many more to be planted in Tipperary over the next coming years as well.
Very good. So then on to the 20th of August. Yeah,
so the 20th of August we are focusing on sustainability. So it was sustainability in particular for Tipperary for the first, sustainability in a more generalised manner on the 20th. And we have our wonderful artist Lorraine Cleary again. She's going to be speaking on sustainable art. We have Charlie Davis speaking on sustainable communities, Carla Dragic on sustainable craft, Orla Farrell, who is joining us on the 18th from Easy Treesy at Cran on sustainable planting. Sarah Kouakou on sustainability with a world view. Sarah was an intern at the Museum of Childhood Ireland, and she is coming just to talk about it from a world view point of view. Sarah Lavelle from Achill Island on sustainable food. James McConville on sustainable play. Danny Sheehy on environmental sustainability. Jennifer Thornton on sustainable fashion, and the Museum of Childhood Ireland on sustainable toys. So that should be a really interesting panel, and again, plenty of food for thought. And that's going to be followed then by sustainable storytelling. We have the most wonderful team member at the museum, Dr. Catherine Gilliland, and she is a fantastic storyteller. And so we've sort of subtitled that one, Make, Do and Mend, or As Usoid. And it's looking back at through storytelling, looking back at all the things that we used to do, the sort of sustainable ways we had in Ireland of living, and tying it to the effort to be sustainable now. And I think that should be that's a really good. She's highly entertaining, so I think that's going to be a really good storytelling.
So her event will hopefully run from 2 to 3 p.m. on the 20th.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. So the others in the morning time up until before that, and then hers will run from 2 to 3 p.m. And then after that, we would hope to actually show some of the films that young people have made on sustainability. So it's just their ideas, insights that they actually have around sustainability, and they are all pre-recorded. So that'll be sort of our second last event. We actually do have a very final event, and it will be the second apple tree to be planted in Tipperary, and that will happen as the very, very last thing. And as I said, that is part of a big project that's going to happen in Tipperary over the next couple of years. And then we also have, following on, after Heritage Week actually finishes, we have Kate Oram will be coming to lead a clay sculpting and art workshop with school students in Tipperary town. And again, that is tying back again to the glove factory in Tipperary, because it's going to be exploring their heritage further around the glove factory and their heritage in Tipperary through a clay sculpting and art workshop. So that will happen, we think, sort of starting early October.
So again, a lot of events, but all of the events are free to participate in, and people can find the details of them on the social media pages, but particularly the Tipperary Town Revitalisation Task Force or Councillor Anne-Marie Ryan's page as the details unfold, and also the Tipperary Heritage Officer. All the heritage projects for this week are also on the website heritageweek.ie, and people can find all the details there, Magella, I think, if they want to check which event they'd like to attend or participate in.
They can indeed, yeah, and on museumofchildhood.ie on our Heritage Week Tipperary 2022. And I just want to give a big call out to people. You don't have to be from Tipperary to take part in this. Everybody come to Tipperary, really enjoy. It's a fantastic town. Really enjoy Heritage Week in Tipperary. You'll all be very, very welcome. and we look forward to seeing everybody there.
Yes, very interesting events and very much on the themes of, I know it's Heritage Week, the Heritage Council chose sustainability as a theme, but it's also very much on the theme we're facing into as we try to realise that we've got to live in a more sustainable way with terms of water, food and all other resources that we use. Magella, your email address, it's MMC Alistair, M McAllister at museumofchildhood.ie.
Yeah, and Alistair spelled ALLISTER at museumofchildhood.ie, or you can get us on info@museumofchildhood.ie too.
Very good. Magella, I think a lot of things for people to look forward to there, and thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you very much. Gurv Mila Mahagud, Catherine.
Thank you. You're very welcome. Thank you, Magella.
Okay,
thank you. That was Magella McAllister from the Museum of Childhood Ireland about all of those events that she's involved in coordinating here in Tipperary town as part of Heritage Week. That's their particular offering. As I said, we will have Roisin O'Grady with us tomorrow morning to give an overview of the events across the county. Heritage Week will run from the 13th to the 20th of August.